Hello and welcome back to Miranda Reads the International Book a Long List 2025. Woo! Hello, it's update time. In the last couple of weeks I have read some books and I have DNF'd some books. The shortlist has come out and I'm not going to be able to remember what it is, but we're gonna talk about it. So yeah, multi-pronged update time. Also, once again, I have a cat on my legs, so if you can hear purring, don't worry about it. You're welcome. So let's start off with the two books that I DNF'd, which were, in order, well, kind of, Solenoid, by man whose name I can't remember, and Eurotrash by Kracht, I think is his name. So Solenoid is an interesting one because I have seen lots of people really loving it and reviewing it really highly, but everyone acknowledges that it is very strange and unusual, hard to read, plotless, strange, did I mention that? And it's impossible to give any kind of synopsis or what it's about, really. I read about, I think like 5% of it, and I didn't dislike it. I was enjoying it, kind of. I was finding the ideas interesting. Some of the writing was absolutely beautiful, like incredibly dense with ideas and words and complicated stuff going on. But because it's so dense, I was struggling with concentrating and carrying on reading it. And I didn't really have any kind of connection or interest in carrying on. So I started instead reading something that I thought would be lighter and more fun, because people keep saying that it's a tragic comedy and funny and witty. And I was like, sure, I'll give that a try. So I started reading Eurotrash, and maybe I have no sense of humour. Maybe I do. Maybe I have no sense of what good literature is. Maybe I don't know anything. We can say that, you know, we can say that with some certainty. However, I did not like Eurotrash. I got to about the 50% mark before I was like, life is too short, can't be doing this anymore. And at that point I also stopped fooling myself thinking that I would go back to Solenoid, and also officially gave up on that instead of just putting pause on it for a second, because I was also like, life is too short. So Eurotrash, at least the part that I read, is about a man who takes his mum on a kind of random road trip. They decide to go on a road trip together and spend a load of money that their family sort of inherited from their Nazi ancestors, I think, if I remember correctly. But a lot of the part that I read at least, was kind of just telling you about these family members and also a bunch of other random people without giving you any particular reason to care. And it's written in a very strange way where he's kind of like, oh, and we went to this, you know, this party in this castle that my father owned, a friend of my father or whatever, and it was all terribly bourgeois, but then he's still kind of telling you in a kind of way that seems like he's boasting about all of the money and the opulence and he's like, oh, it was terrible, it was so tasteless and bourgeois, but still in this kind of tone of not actually interrogating what that means. It sort of feels like the narrator is saying, you know, I know it feels like, it's like the narrator is saying, yes, it was bad. It's bad that we're so rich and that my family were Nazis, but I don't really care. I know that it's bad objectively, but I don't care. And that was very strange to read about. It was really bizarre and I just didn't care for that at all. The weird thing about this book is it's autofiction, I think. It's kind of autofiction, and a sequel to a book that was published in the 90s. And I don't really understand kind of its point of view or like what it's trying to do. Like, I just really didn't get it at all. So I got to the halfway point and gave up. Also gave up on Solenoid. And then I read Heartlamp by Banu Mushtaq. And I did actually finish this one. This is the last international book that I've read, the most recent. And it was a very strange experience. Heartlamp is a collection of short stories about Muslim women, primarily in India. And it's a collection that has been made up of stories that are published over a long period of time. And for the most part, I really did not get on with this one. I refused to DNF it because I did not want to DNF 3 books in a row. I thought that would be a really big blow to my reading momentum, especially book-wise, and I refused to DNF it. So I got to the end. I did not like most of it, apart from the last story, the very, very last one, which I found really beautifully written and very powerful. Unfortunately, it didn't make the slog through the rest of them quite worth it, but I did really enjoy that one. And reading the translator's note afterwards was very interesting, and gave me a lot of insight into the kind of writing style, because it talks about the oral traditions and storytelling of this language, Kannada, I think it is, that it's translated from, and how Banu Mushtaq writes in a kind of way that emulates this in that she changes tenses, things kind of flip around quite a bit in terms of narrative, and that was something that I found very confusing, but the translator purposely said that she was leaving them in a kind of way to honour this. She also leaves in a lot of words that aren't in English, and transliterations that are kind of specific to the area and language that Mushtaq is writing from. And I do respect this as a kind of a translation technique, because there are sort of two schools of thought that you can go with for translation. One of them is sort of taking the text to the reader and making it more accessible for them, sort of translating idioms and figures of speech, cultural references, to make it easier for the reader to kind of understand. And then there is the other school of thought where you make the reader go to the text. You leave in certain things that are going to make them do more work, basically, to understand. They're going to have to look things up, and you're retaining more of that kind of linguistic sort of character within the translation. And that's a perfectly valid way to do a translation. I think for this collection specifically, it just, for a lot of the stories, it just didn't really work for me. Some stories, some sections of stories I really enjoyed and thought were really thought-provoking, but others I tried to kind of connect with and they just didn't work for me. And that's fine. With all that being said, yesterday, in my time, the shortlist was announced. I know that I will not manage to get this video up for quite a while, especially because I already have one that I haven't edited that is waiting to go up before this one. So, very brief shortlist thoughts. I am surprised to see Heartlamp there, partly because I didn't enjoy it, partly because I have not got the impression that it is one that lots of people are enjoying, and obviously public opinion means nothing when the judges are shortlisting books, but that was a surprise to me. I should say the shortlist, if I can remember them all, is Heartlamp, Perfection, Under the Eye of the Big Bird, On the Calculation of Volume 1, Small Boat. Is that all of them? Oh, and A Leopard Skin Hat. I think that's all of them. From those, I have read exactly half. I've read Perfection, Heartlamp, and Leopard Skin Hat. Of those 3, Perfection is definitely my favourite, and I'm really looking forward to reading the other 3. I am probably going to at least try and read the rest of them. There are several that weren't shortlisted that I was really excited for, like There's a Monster Behind the Door, and The Book of Disappearance particularly. I personally have a feeling that Perfection or Calculation of Volume will win. I don't know why, but I am very surprised to not see Solenoid, Eurotrash, and also Hunchback on the shortlist. Solenoid and Eurotrash, just because I felt like they were going to shortlist them. I felt like they're the ones that I've DNF'd so far. I just had a feeling. And Hunchback because I think it's bloody brilliant, and I was really genuinely expecting it to be shortlisted because it's excellent, and also because it just seems like the kind of book that could win prizes, and has. I don't know, I'm mostly surprised at that one. But anyway, I am excited to see where the rest of this international booker journey takes us, what will win, what I'll like from the shortlist, if I like any of the other ones that I haven't read that weren't shortlisted. We shall find out together, hopefully, if I carry on actually succeeding in reading them. But if I do, I will let you know, and I will hopefully see you very soon. Oh, for fuck's sake. Stop it. What are you doing? Prick. What are you doing in there? What are you doing? You absolute knob juice. Morgie in the sequel. You're a weeb. You're an absolute weeb. Where was I? Eurotrash is trash.